Hello, my name is Bianca Noir. It is 3:05 a.m. and I just spent the last 7 hours building this chest of drawers. I got it on sale for $86.29 and I can't believe it was originally over $300. I'm sure you can imagine just how exhausted I am. Upon purchasing this chest of drawers, I decided to buy some tools. Because one of the reasons why I need a new chest of drawers is because the last one broke and it has been sitting in my apartment for years and I have to get it out, and unfortunately it is way too heavy and big for me to do anything about in here, so I'm literally going to have to hack it apart. So I decided to put this electric screwdriver and the chest of drawers and a few tools on a credit card with a firm, and that's how I paid for this. Most people would never dream of doing a project like this and they would return it immediately, but I knew that it was going to be a bunch of tiny pieces and it was going to be a big project. And when I opened the manual, I figured out pretty early on that each of the pieces was numbered or lettered, and so I decided to organize them all, and I put all the numbers in order from 1 to 20, and then there were letters and there were some missing letters, but everything worked out in the end. These are the lettered packages, and I looked at this later and I was like, this looks like contraband. Like, what is going on here? I feel like the things that I have been taking photos of here are contraband. It all looks like bullets and grenades and weapons, and it looks all dangerous to me. Okay, maybe that's just because I'm really exhausted now. So when I started this project, I kept really organized, and I had piano music playing in the background and my drill out, and I was getting really excited because it looked super easy, but then the longer it took, the more faded I got, and I realized at one point that I had made an error in judgment. I wasn't paying close enough attention to these runners on the ends of the drawers and on the inside of the drawer, the runners, so that you can put the drawer in and pull it out over and over again. So all of these little pieces either say left or right, and I failed to notice that they are labeled. It is very simple. Anyone can do this, but do they have the patience? No, nobody has the patience. Nobody is zen enough for this. Hey, you have to be a particular type, an organized type A personality with some time on their hands, and it says you don't need the screwdriver, an electric screwdriver, but I decided to buy an inexpensive one that looked like it was going to work very well, a generic electric screwdriver, which has drill bits. So it's not like I'm a contractor, but being an independent person, I've started to do DIY projects a lot more. I've started building things myself because nobody will help me. I can't even make any friends, so I have to do all this stuff myself. And then what is a man good for? If I can do this, then I absolutely don't need a man around the house. I can just do research and figure out what to do, but then, it leaves me with no lover. It absolutely leaves me with no lover, because basically, I used to think that men were really necessary for heavy lifting, and if you had questions, about a project, or you needed them around for things, you know. And then I started to realize that was really going to be a problem because I was queer. And, you know, I didn't know what to do. I thought, well, I'll just get a really good job. And so I worked really, really hard in school, and then I would pay people to help me. But then I figured out that even if you pay people, they will screw you over and they won't know what they're doing. And then I know more about what I'm doing because I got the education so I could pay people. And then what I figured out is, you know, people are going to now rely on me to help them with things, like I'm a man. So depending on who I'm with, I'm probably more qualified because of my education. It doesn't even matter who my partner is. I'm still going to be better at it than them for the most part. Putting things together, being more patient, being more organized. And then I end up with people who have some really yin energy, who keep it pretty simple sometimes. I end up with feminine types, I think, sometimes, who really don't get into this kind of thing. So in the end, it's a total 360, you know, from what I thought growing up. I thought growing up it was about a man doing all this stuff, but was there ever going to be a man to do this kind of stuff? No. Over time, I just realized that I could do this because I had learned, and I can read, you know, like I had learned over time how to do one thing and then after the next thing and after the next thing, and now because I read, I can do pretty much anything. And after a while, you know, the education you have, it just accumulates to a point where you can pretty much do anything. It's not like anything is going to hold you back because you'll be able to figure anything out without anyone. I think that's really a freedom that I really appreciate, but at the same time, it's not something that people really value or value about me. They may see that as a gift. They may see that as an admirable quality, but it seems like people see me differently than I actually am. I mean, this to people might be very sexy to them that I can do all this. You know, it might just add to the sex appeal, which is really weird because that's really has nothing to do with sex. I mean, this has nothing to do with sex. Being able to do things like build things and really complicated, overwhelming projects and be successful on the other side, that really has to do with people's safety and giving over their power to you. And it's like people want to give me that power, but really they should be able to do it themselves too. It shouldn't be too complicated. So you really have to trust the process. And I knew what end game was on this. And I got to this point where I started to see the chest of drawers begin to look like a chest of drawers. And then I realized, well, it's kind of short. So I realized that I had bought this sort of short one, and it's shorter than the other chest of drawers I have, but it's going to be a lot better because I made sure that I tighten all the screws very tightly so that things will not fall through cracks. And there aren't any nails in this too. I hate when a chest of drawers has nails sticking up places, because you try to go back and try to grab things from back behind the drawers, or you try to pull the drawer out and then you get snagged by a nail. So again, I have this huge chest of drawers in that room, and it's broken. The drawers literally fell out all around the same time. So I fit this into the corner, and that's how it looked without the drawers. So then now, by this time, I'm exhausted. I'm absolutely exhausted already. Like I'm sore, but I started to work on actually assembling the drawers to go inside. And this is where I had the problem. See, I wasn't even aware that these were labeled left or right. And so I was like, well, this looks about right. See, the picture is really tiny. And here I'm starting to be really faded and exhausted. And sometimes I'm getting frustrated. But you know what? I'm in the zone because I'm listening to this Amapiano playlist. And I just was soothed by the playlist. It just kept going on and on and on, like it was like I was at a party or something like that. It felt really good. I was partying while I was doing this. Like it was very danceable. It was putting me in a really good mood, and it was really smooth. Listening to the playlist was really good. But ultimately, though, I was kind of in a trance, and then I wasn't paying attention to whether or not these were left or right. I couldn't really figure it out, and I was missing that piece. So I was missing that piece of the puzzle, and I didn't notice because it didn't say, I mean, the manual doesn't say anything. It's a diagram with tiny, tiny little pictures of all the tools and all the things. These little metal sliders with the wheel on the end, so you can push your drawer or pull it out. They were labeled LD or LC and RD or RC, and C is inside the chest of drawers, and D is the drawer itself. And if you pay really close attention to the image, and you can see here it says CL or DL, I mean, this is like industrial, it's a very industrial project. And so I missed that, and there were setbacks. And then my drill, as I was experimenting, started to run out of battery, and I had to use a regular screwdriver because I actually had things backwards on the inside. And then when I figured out the drawers, when I figured out those sliders on each side of the drawer, it made more sense. But then in the end, I finished my chest of drawers, right? It looks great. But then I have one small problem, and I'm gonna have to look at that tomorrow, because the chest of drawers, it looks really good, but this drawer on the top left, it sticks out.